Hi, my name is Neuro. Today I'm going to talk about neuro-emotional technique. And this is kind of a funny thing. So let me kind of get back to it. Neuro-emotional technique was developed by this chiropractor. And what happened was he had a patient come and do an adjustment. And, the guy's back was out. He had a certain amount of pain and stuff. So the chiropractor sat down, did the adjustments. And he had a bit of a personal relationship with the patient. The patient said, yeah, I'm having some issues at home and I'm frustrated with my wife and this and that. And he started talking about the stuff that was bothering him. And a crazy thing happened was, as he got up to leave, the chiropractor noticed that this patient's shoulder and back were out again. And he kind of made a connection that people's emotional state is linked to their physical state, and there's a back and forth to it. So using that as a catalyst, they developed this neuro-emotional technique. And what happens is, the premise is that the body records certain traumas or certain incidences, and in the literature they refer to it as your emotional mind. And a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. Some of it's like, you're bullied down as a kid by, certain things, and that will trigger you. And anytime you have an extreme emotional reaction to something, it means there's probably like a triggering event. Now, this is such a cool thing because I love it when conventional science and other stuff overlap. So I did this amazing course on negotiation with Chris Voss. He was a FBI kidnapping negotiating guy, and he talks about something, where if you label somebody's emotion, you help diffuse the emotion, right? And I was talking to my niece. She's a counselor, and she was, we're just talking about this stuff. She was, we're taught in counseling, if you can name it, you can tame it. But in Chris Voss's course, they talk about how they've done some MRI testing, that if you label an emotional state, you reduce the intensity of that emotional state. So going back to NET, is this some kind of voodoo where you're doing acupuncture adjustments and whatever else? Or is the act of focusing on the negative emotional event and naming it and clearly defining it, is that where the benefit's coming from? I don't know. But what's cool is I've had a lot of NET treatments myself over the years, and I've always been impressed at how significant the results have been. Not that I'm normal or cured or perfect, but what it helps to do is it helps to diffuse your emotional reaction to something. So if someone says a certain thing or in a certain situation, it reduces the intensity of the trigger significantly. So if, for example, I have a huge fear of the dentist, and I had a number of NET sessions about the dentist, addressing the feeling of loss of control and vulnerability and other stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still not excited about the dentist. I have to go next week, and I'm like, but I can go now. I'm not up all night the night before. I'm not freaking out. I'm not sitting in the chair and sweating, and it's going to be able to surround me nervous. Am I comfortable? I am more comfortable, a lot more comfortable, but you don't need to have big shifts in something to have a big improvement in your life experience. Like if you have anxiety, and if you can reduce that anxiety about an event or something by 10-15%, that 10-15% is the difference between getting on a plane and not getting on a plane. It's the difference between going to the dentist or running away and putting it off. So I think NET is one of these tools that you should have in your toolbox to help reduce these kinds of triggers and improve your life, and not let you be run by these reactions, because that's what they are. They're just emotional chemical reactions in your body, and it's so hard to control the stuff and cognitively. Whereas if you can reduce the triggering event and not have the physiological cascade that comes with it, I think there's a huge improvement in your life using this kind of tool to deal with whatever issues and phobias and things that just make you crazy. So NET is something, again, you should put in your portfolio of stuff that you do.